No, I don't feel weight. I feel wind underneath my freaking wings, man. That's what I feel.
Truthfully?
Truthfully.
It uplifts you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this, man. This is outstanding. I love our fans. I love that, man, they feel it like we feel it. And no, this is not a burden. This is not pressure. This is not weight. This is, man, this gives me inspiration is what it does for me and our guys.
Wow. I really do. That man just continues every offseason.
I love Dan
to
Campbell.
impress me. I mean, how can you not love to play for that dude?
I would.
They ask him,
man.
ask him about pressure. He says, "Yeah, the wind uplifting me under my wings." Like the most like badass WWE response. JV was at SummerSlam. You know that.
He did sound like a WWE wrestler.
Yeah, dude.
He was like the wind underneath my wings.
Yeah. And this is why I love it too, because he's so genuine. Like he's just himself. Like, and I can't wait to see not just this season, but the years to come with Dan, because he has a real chance, Booner, to kind of prove all the people that think like, oh yeah, this type of personality, this type of coach ain't gonna work out. He has the opportunity to kind of change that narrative.
Yeah, I think he already has changed it. The kneecap thing to start his whole career in Detroit, and then into last year to where, I mean, he did struggle a little bit, but now all of this in training camp, he's completely changed the culture. There's not any coach in the NFL, I don't even know if in college football, that is like this guy at all. I'm not kidding when I say this. If I got to choose one person to just have a beer with on a Friday night, and they were like, pick anyone in the world, I promise you, I would say, give me Motor City Dan Campbell. I want that man at my house tomorrow. We'll be drinking beer. I'll drink beers till 4 a.m. with him.
Yeah. No, the guy, he's genuine.
Listening to Metallica. Let's go.
Going on podcasts, talking about he wants a real life lion at Ford Field.
Dude.
Brilliant.
Like
that would be a disaster.
Quick question. I know this is a little off topic. Have you guys ever just realized being here in Birmingham that there are legit lions like a couple miles down the road just living near us?
What?
Crazy thought.
Are there lions at the Detroit Zoo?
It's called a zoo.
Oh my
Booner.
God.
I know, but it's
Close
just
to a
like,
zoo.
it's a crazy thing to think
giraffes.
about.
I was like,
There's
wait,
probably
who has
hippos.
lions living in their homes?
Isn't that crazy to
here?
think? They're right there.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you
Sorry
think about
for
it,
that.
yeah, Ford
That's
Field.
off topic.
I mean, but for Dan, though, like specifically to say things like this and
Man.
people laugh about it, but in reality, I think this is the thing about Dan, the aura he kind of presents. It's like, oh, this guy's a meathead, but in reality, like, he knows ball.
He does.
He's super smart, but I love the persona he gives off of just like, grit. Double venti coffees, wearing the race car helmet before the Indy. Like, all the stuff he's done, obviously wins are what matters. He has to come out this year and, of course, make the playoffs. I expect to win a playoff game. All that stuff matters. But this stuff it is what it is.
I did see
when people overreact to this stuff, it's a little over the top.
Did you
I think
see
it's great.
the Sports Illustrated interview with Jared Goff, Brad
I did.
Holmes, and them?
Yeah, Albert Breer.
And
Yep.
yeah, and they both, Jared Goff and Brad Holmes both said that everyone thought he was a meathead. Like you said, he didn't know football, and they were just like, we want to keep it the biggest secret that this man knows everything about football. He knows the ins and outs of football, and he's one of the best coaches in the league. And they just wanted to keep it a secret. They wanted people to think that he was a meathead, and they were mad that it got out that he actually knew football.
Well, it's refreshing, man. Like, as a Lions fan, as somebody that covers the Lions, like as somebody that talks about them, man, it is refreshing to get a guy like Dan Campbell in here. But not just that. If the Lions are winning, to have a guy like Dan Campbell at the helm. We're coming off Matt Patricia, coming off Jim Caldwell. Like, Dan is so unique. He's so different. Now, winning is what matters, but man, if he can win.
Think about Dan at a Super Bowl parade.
That's what I'm saying. If this man could win,
Man.
Steve Austin,
crushing
dude.
beers.
When the Lions win a Super Bowl, Dan Campbell, those videos will live on forever. The man's already a national treasure, and there's only more to come from him, in my opinion.
It would be like a stone cold Steve Austin.
Exactly.
man.
Dan 316.
Yeah.
Brad Holmes is drinking behind him. They're just both getting lit.
I would
Going
do
through
everything I
downtown
could to get
Detroit.
on that float to drink a beer with him. I'm not going to get into
Now,
that. I would
Boner, I'm
do
right there
anything.
with you, man.
The question,
Let's go, JB.
the question I have though is with Dan saying this having a quote like this, and of course I feel like, and as much as we've heard quotes from the coaches and players, a common question they get asked is always about the pressure, always about the expectations. Like, do you guys think about it? I'm sure they get sick of it after a while because they have to keep repeating the same answer, which is essentially, yeah, we haven't done anything. We have to come out and prove it. Like, it's they have to keep repeating the same response. But if you really think about it, Booner, the preseason starts soon. Like things are going to start ramping up. What's your nervousness? What's your concern level that the pressure will get to this team? Because last year they were one of the youngest rosters in the NFL, and right now they're currently still one of the younger defenses currently right now in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure thing, and I know he mentioned as well a couple of weeks back that they're trying to block out all of the noise of all of the comments of, oh, are they contenders? Are they going to win the NFC North? And he's told the team, let's block all of that out. But at the same time, in this same press conference, he looked the camera in the eye and said, we love the pressure. We're about it. We're going to embrace it, and we're going to take on being contenders. And that's exactly what I expect out of them. I don't think that, when you do that, I don't think the pressure gets to you as much as it would if you're really worried about it.
Yeah.
When you embrace something like that, they're going to go into every game being like, we want this pressure. They've been practicing like that. They've been at training camp like that. If I'm being completely honest, the only pressure for Dan Campbell is the start when they went 1-6 last year, and a multiple of those games were his fault. Mm-hmm. I do think that he might be thinking, I need to be sharp this year because we can't start 1-6 because he was part of the reason we started 1-6. He knows that the whole team, he's going to be sharp. That's the only pressure I think. Going out there with the team, I don't think the team cares. Look at what Amon-Ra's been doing. He's still putting the work in. Jared Goff is. I can't see them folding under pressure this year like they did 1-6 last year. I don't see it.
Well, I think the biggest giveaway too, and Albert Breer, when he had a conversation with Dan, Brad, and Jared, one thing they hit on too is like how these players, Dan's players, Lions players, continue to buy in. That's like a big thing, right? When you have a coach who, isn't winning games, but somebody that's not a great leader, guys are quick to buy out. Players can see fraud quicker than most. Like, players know real from real. Like, they can look at Dan and be like, okay, this guy's genuine. He knows football. He cares for us. Like, Matt Patricia, I mean, he got exposed pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Like, players see right through that bullshit.
Urban Meyer?
Yeah, Urban Meyer's another one.
Instantly. There's guys that
players get it. So last 2 seasons, I think we've been given signs that this team has faced adversity, but also they've overcome adversity. I mean,
they've learned how to overcome adversity together too. It's not like they just added a bunch of free agents and be like, all right, let's go win now. The core pieces of this team were young. They lost for a majority of the first season. If you look at Amon-Ra in that class, and you have the rookies last year, the first half of this big season, they were terrible. And what they do as a cohesive unit, they learned how to win. And that's why I don't think there should be a lot of worry about this. If we were just picking and plugging, almost like how the Jets are, there's a lot of concern about that because you haven't seen how those pieces have played together. But when you have a team like this, I understand we got big free agents, especially in the secondary. Right. But when you talk about the offense, the quarterback, the running back, the coordinators, everything, they learned how to win together, and that's what's most important in my opinion.
And there's two things from the player's perspective, right? You start off, you're winless, they're 0-8, whatever, 0-9, whatever the record was the first year, and they still show up ready to work. They still give their all, especially during the week before the game, and Dan saw that. So clearly the players were continuing to buy in, but even the next season, you're 1-6. How do they respond? You're 8-2. You finish the season, one of the hotter teams in the NFL. That's responding to adversity. But take it a step further from a coaching perspective. Dan, first season, the first handful of games when they were winless, offense was disgusting. They got rid of Anthony Lynn. He made that decision. Promoted Ben Johnson, made that decision, a decision that we called for on this show. But more importantly, the following season, Aubrey Pleasant was let go. Like, Dan, from the players, yes, they have always bought in. It's been shown that Dan can coach and he could keep guys bought in even during adversity. But Dan has shown that he can make tough decisions in adversity and still stand by decisions. Another one, AG. They wanted his ass out of here last year. What did Dan do? Say, nope, we're keeping him. Defense after week 8, averaged 17 points per game. They were one of the better defenses in the NFL. So, again, he stuck to his guns and made the right decision with AG. But, again, from Dan's perspective and the players, this team knows how to face adversity.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk pressure. We're right now, we're 0. The Detroit Lions are 0-0. They haven't played. They haven't won. They haven't lost. They faced pressure last year, the most amount of pressure you can face when you came in with a little bit of expectations to win some games, and you started 1-6. Like, that is the most pressure that you're going to face in the NFL. If you start the season 1-6 after starting 0-9 the year before, so being 0-0 right now, they already have been through this pressure. Every single player on that team, besides the new guys, have been through that pressure. And on top of it, some of these new guys, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he just played in the Super Bowl. He knows pressure. He lives for the pressure. Like,
he lives for it.
He does. They started 1-6. When a year where people were saying they were going to win 8 games and you're 1-6, and then they went 8-2. There's zero pressure. These guys, Jared Goff does not care. Amon-Ra St. Brown does not care. Jahmyr Gibbs, he has the feel to himself. He does not care. None of these guys care. They're out there. They just want to go win. I don't see like they're like under a ton. The only Dan Campbell to me is like under a ton of pressure. He knows he can't have that start again.
Well, in Gabby too, you notice a trend here, like with Brad Holmes, Dan, everything's all aligned, and this is the first time, at least in my lifetime, that everything has been aligned from the top to the bottom, from ownership, GM, head coach, quarterback. And what Brad spoke about, and Albert Breer asked him, is it's not just Dan being the coach he is and the leader he is, but also finding the right players. Yeah. Brad has done a great job of finding the guys that can handle adversity, guys that want to come to work no matter what, and it seems to be working out so far. So let's credit to Brad and Dan.
Fully, because they've said from the beginning, we're looking at the person, we're looking at the human being, and you've seen it, especially in Inside the Den. You see those interviews and the questions that they're asking in those one-on-one meetings, and you see what's important to them. It's the football IQ, and it's the human being. And will they fit into this mold of a Lions player that, you know, this whole idea of a Lions player has now taken media by storm, because you see how they've done it a little bit differently. He's done it the way they want to do it. They have their guys that they want, and they don't let this outside noise, this hype train, affect them.
I'm not on a hype train.
He's conducting.
If there was one
He's
man
not on it. He's leading.
You're driving.
I will have
He's the conductor.
I will have a conductor's hat that has a Lions logo right on the front. With some blue Kool-Aid.
Then you're going to have a dunce cap later in the season.
I don't know what that is, but yes.
Oh,
You
okay.
have a gold little star that says, "Hi, I'm Booner" right here.
No, Mike,
I'm a Dan Campbell, Brad
do
Holmes
that.
type of guy.
No, don't.
That
do
is who I am.
Booner, that's why we love you, man. You know why, though?
Love you too.
And I think we all agree, though, the pressure, as much as there is pressure, and as much as Booner's single-handedly creating pressure, no, I'm kidding, but as much as Lions fans are creating pressure, I don't think, you would prefer any other coach, but Dan in this specific situation, because, again, he's going to keep the players in check. And you see that video of Dan and Jared saying the same thing to reporters?
Yes.
Like, I know when you look at it, you're like, oh, it's funny. They said the same thing. Like, no, there's something deeper in there, like in that story. It's because Dan and Jared are on the same page.
Yes.
Like, everybody's on the same page with how they feel and how they respond to the pressure, and the media talks about expectations. Like, again, I'll say it again, first time in my lifetime, ownership, GM, head coach, and quarterback.
This is
all in
Got
sync.
the big foe.
Yeah,
the big foe.
This is new to all of us. And to Gabby's point, too, with these players, we hear it all the time. Dan Campbell or Brad Holmes type of guys. And in the draft, when everyone was really like pissed off that we got Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs, they stuck to their guns and they got those guys.
Right.
They got people who want to go out there and compete. They can handle pressure, and they've done it in the past. Like, they got their guys. I said that on the day 2 of the NFL draft show. They got their guys. Dan Campbell type guys, Brad Holmes type guys. Which, to me, that makes me not worried at all that they have the right dudes in the building.
And just to get some of these comments, people are chiming in before we go to break here. Mitch M. Shout out to Mitch M, by the way, joining the chat. He says, Juicy Jeff, what up? Let's see. James Hewitt says, "Wind beneath my wings." Shout out to James. Jason Rowland is in here. He said, if they win against the Chiefs, we need Baydoun in the studio. I hope they win against the Chiefs. That would be a lot of fun.
They will win versus the Chiefs.
Chuck Brewer says, Lucas
lock.
looks like an old-time stream train engineer. Get him in the outfit.
Ain't no way. Not a chance.
Let's see. LFG, Martha Ford, play Buck the Line, Lions fans. Shane D, Sam is a pimp from the booth. He chimes in with the stats after a subject has been debated. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, Sam will be back tomorrow. I know Big D, they're making some changes too. Mike Gentry will be in that booth sooner or later. Sam's going to get away from the booth. He'll be full-time in the morning show. So you'll get all Sam Flannel every day for 2 hours. And then Mike Gentry will be jumping on Big D. There's that. We'll go to break. When we get back, we'll get into some.